might as well just be erect cock.
No, this is too much. That's it. I'm
ranting about hashtag Gecko Challenge.
I don't even know what kind of game you're playing. Maybe some kind of crazy
Bullshit!
Ah, what a great fucking game. Honestly. Such a fucking fine-ass game. But unfortunately, I am not going to be playing this per se because I'm going to go on a fucking rant. So, here we go. Today I want to talk about Jocko, who has apparently become probably the hottest meme in quite some time. And if you're wondering, wait a minute, she was in this game? There's probably, I can think of 3 good reasons why you probably never played this game, but I'm going to save that for later. So, before we actually dwell into my main point, I just want to play this cutscene real quick from the episode mode, so let's go ahead and check out the wonderful masked lady waifu of the evening. And I apologize if the air conditioner is on because I am hot, I had to run errands, and this is kind of a last-minute ditch effort to get this out there while the topic is fresh with a PH. So here we go.
与えられた使命と自らの運命。このぐらい部屋の中で彼女はそれらを十二分に自覚していた。しかし、急を迎えた事態は彼女の存在を不完全なものとしてしまうのであった。
おはよう。
いのちゃんおはよ
う。予定よりちょっと早く起こしちゃったけど、調子はどう？
頭も体もちょっとぼんやりしてるかな。それからね、断片化された記憶と正確の情報が不安定ね。魂の半分以上は孤立系の本体からダウンロードしきれていないみたい。相変わらず彼もプレゼンテーションを返さないから、些細な盲点を見逃しやすい。天才ってだけで完璧なわけじゃないのに。だから友達が少ないのよ。ほんと、私自身がこの解決に専念できないことが歯がゆくてしょうがないわ。身体機能そのものに不調はないみたいだから、試運転と時代の認識も兼ねて。外の空気を吸ってくるね。
え？ちょっと待って。
やだよーバイバ
イ。パフォーマンスも把握しとくか。まあいいわ。応戦します。
Okay, so as you can see, she is definitely lewd material. Now, I don't think she's as cool as Justice, but I do actually like her gameplay a little bit. Some people like to call it a tower defense game, and apparently she's going to return in Strive, which is cool, which I can't really say I care much for the game because it's just basically a simplified version of Guilty Gear, which I guess a lot of people are getting into just because of that, which is kind of quite frankly fucking dumb because literally every other Guilty Gear game is just playing. But if you mean to tell me that people are only playing it now just because you have to put as much effort, then you're fucking lazy. Because these games have a lot of depth. And even though, yeah, the netcode could be a little better, but a lot of these games before Rollback was even a thing, we just kind of put up with it, but now people are so fucking entitled to complain about fucking one thing that even most of the popular games don't even have or have better netcode, and yet, even the games that do have better netcode just get shafted like 90% of the time. It's fucking stupid. Like, look at Killer Instinct, for example. Yeah, I don't agree with the fact that the business model was whatever, but it's still a great game. It has good online play, and even games like Skullgirls are still even be added in more content today. They're worth playing, but nobody wants to play it because they don't want to put in fucking work. It's fucking stupid.
ありゃ、痛くしすぎちゃったかな。
強引に起こしちゃうかしら。人間は眠りから覚めると10分以内に夢の記憶を 90% 失うらしいからね。バルダ君も全部忘れるんじゃない？
Okay, so let me get this out of the way. First of all, I don't care that people are memeing this. Like, I understand that a lot of these older games tend to, you know, after a while of them existing, people find a meme that they like from a game, and then it becomes absolute mainstay, which I don't mind. You know, look at games like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Like, of all the times I played that game, like, I understand that, you know, Big Smoke Sorter was like the dominant meme, but then someone posted, "Aw shit, here we go again," and I'm like, wait a minute, that's the line you hear right before you actually start playing. And I'm like, I don't mind, because it's like, first of all, it's a good game, and second of all, you know, some quotes, I guess, just become very popular, which I don't have an issue with. But my issue is that this fucking bitch's stance has literally been in the game, and yet not one person has bothered to play it, because, as I mentioned earlier, people don't want to fucking work for their victories or play the better game. Which, I really don't want to try to shit on Strive for this, but like, the game is not as deep or interesting compared to even Xrd Revelator, or even Rev 2, which is a good game. I think it's a decent expansion, but it's just not as big of a jump compared from Sign to Revelator, and I should know because I've gotten both. And I do remember spending a lot of money on both versions, and yes, I thought it was fucking dumb to spend $60 on Revelator. But honestly, the money was worth it, because Revelator is a good game. Yeah, you don't have the English voice actors, but that really shouldn't matter, because these games are good. You know, they might have some weird balancing quirks or whatever. And yeah, I know the older game, Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus R, has been fucking revisionized to the point of being almost as absurd as the likes of Street Fighter 2, because, you know, there's like so many fucking versions of that game, and yet only the PC version apparently is the one that gets the better netcode that people want, except you don't see people fucking playing it, and it pisses me off. But yet, this game, Guilty Gear Strive, does get played, but all because of one fucking character, which people probably didn't even play, where you see people memeing the fuck out of this stupid fucking pose, which, don't get me wrong, it is quite interesting if you look at it from a certain way, but the point is that with this type of pose, you think people will be memeing it from the better game, and doing it even more so with Strive. Like, first of all, I don't even really like the fact that they're bringing back characters who were already mainstays in the last game. Like, why the fuck did they pay money for Jocko? She should have been in the base roster to begin with. Seriously, freaking Strive has the same issue I had with Sign, where the roster was just so incredibly weak, and the characters were extremely limited. I know that Arc System Works says to not give out many characters to start with, but it's like, usually when they throw in DLC characters, they're actually interesting and new. They don't recycle previous characters just to throw in DLC or whatever the fuck. But apparently Guilty Gear is going down that path, and it's stupid. But to be fair, at least when this game did it, were with Revelator, because I know that, I think Rev 2 had Biken or whatever, which, okay, it's just one character, and you know, if you're gonna bring back one character, you might as well bring back the OG secret character from back in the day. And yes, back in the original Guilty Gear, Biken was actually like the hidden character, compared to the likes of Akuma or Reptile. She was kind of in that same camp. And in order to even unlock her in the original game, you had to beat the game with Soul or Kai, and I don't think you could use a continue or anything, or even lose a round. It was crazy. And for whatever reason, you could only use those two characters. I'm not quite sure why, but maybe at most you only have to beat the game twice, or just once if you're going for the game with either Kai or Soul. In which, I should mention, I did a stream of that a long time ago. And apparently it was an extremely game-breaking move I kept doing, and I was able to beat Justice no problem. It was pretty funny, actually. I'll have to check if I have it highlighted, or maybe I'll try to sample it or something. I don't know, it was fucking weird. But anyway, but seriously, like, and I'm trying not to gatekeep because, you know, I like it that people are getting into Guilty Gear, but this newest one, it's just an insult to people who've been playing it that's probably been playing ever since the original. And yeah, I know the original wasn't all that great. It was on the PlayStation. They tried to basically bring the arcade experience home, kind of like with, say, Streets of Rage, but it was just a very clunky fighter, but it was an interesting one nonetheless. It had a lot of great songs, and a lot of great characters, too, that eventually became, like, the most popular characters in all of anime fighters today. And then, of course, when Guilty Gear X came out, that blew up even more. And then when the sequel came out, it just went beyond expectations. And then the series kind of went dormant in terms of its mainline fighting games until Xrd, which, again, is a great game. The graphics are awesome, but my problem with Sign is that the roster was just too weak. You barely had any returning characters from X and Core Plus R, which had a lot of characters, and you only had maybe like a third or half of it. And the new characters aren't terrible, but it's like, when you have Rebel have a lot more returning characters, it's just insulting of why did they not just start with that first? Because they wanted to have, kind of like with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where you have a shit roster at launch and then make people pay for another fucking version. It's just crap. And while I don't think Rev 2, again, is just as decent as compared to the likes of Revelator, it definitely does have a lot more going for it, since you do have two excellent characters, and even added arcade mode for the rest of the characters, such as the DLC characters and Jam, who didn't get one for some reason, so that's cool. But my main issue is that people are getting to Strive, and yet people act like she's been there since day one, which she was in this game, just seeing it right now. Yes, I know I have the Rev 2 version up, but that's not the point. Like, if people actually played this game, and not just because, oh, it has bad netcode, so I'm not going to play it because, you know, Rollback or GTFO, which is such a fucking stupid statement, since these same people are probably the same assholes who play Street Fighter 4 with objectively much worse netcode, yet play that for hours and hours a day, and yet they won't touch this game because its mechanics are too complicated. And you damn well know that I'm right. Like, seriously. And if you actually want decent netcode in your games, and the game actually gets it, then fucking play it. Like, seriously, you have a ton of games that are getting rollback netcode, or even older games that people wanted rollback for a long-ass time. Guilty Gear XXX and Core Plus R, which, yeah, it's only on PC, but still, it does have it, but you don't see people play it. What about King of Fighters 2002 Unlimited Match? That is probably regarded as one of the greatest King of Fighters games ever made, and yet, when this PS4 version dropped alongside the PC version that got updated to include rollback, nobody's playing it. It's like, what the fuck? If you're gonna demand rollback on event hubs and Twitter, then when the game actually gets it, fucking play it, or shut up. Now that's out of the way. And again, I just want to go back to this bullshit of this stupid fucking meme I keep seeing on Twitter. It is so stupid. Like, you would have real people doing this. It's like, this game is almost... It's gonna be, I think, either 5 or 6 years old. Or it's gonna be 6, might be 6 years old. I know it's 5 years old, but still. It came out in arcades first. I know Jacko was definitely in the base Revelator. She wasn't in Sign, which... Honestly, if she wasn't in Sign, that'd be even more depressing, because that game definitely could use a lot better roster. And yeah, I do think Jacko's pretty alright. The pose is definitely interesting, and I do like her outfit. And I even like that she has a mask on. But let's not get into that bullshit. But it's like, if people actually gave this game a chance, and you see people who like to draw loot R24/7, they'd probably jump on the bandwagon and get more people to play this game, even though, yeah, the netcode isn't that good. But hey, look at this. You got ass and titties, and even fucking people on Instagram are doing this shit. And even people who used to be former not safe for work artists or whatever are getting in on this shit. And it's like, why? This game is fucking almost 6 years old, and yet people, for whatever reason, they just want to jump on this side because they can't fucking handle fighting games of any depth, apparently, which, again, you don't have to be good at fighting games to enjoy this stuff. But if you can't learn them, then that's on you. Like, seriously, I'm going to admit, I am not very good at a lot of these games. I know some tips and tricks, and I might be just okay to maybe unlock whatever the game has to offer. And if I'm going to use any cheesy strats, I'll do it. Like, I played Capcom vs. SNK 2, and I played the survival mode, and I know the Xbox version offers an easy mode, which I did, because the game doesn't penalize you for it. There is no way I can do that shit legitimately, because I'm not very good at those games. I like playing them, I love playing them with friends and family, but I'm not a pro player, and if I want to learn them, then I can't be bitching that I keep losing the matchup, because, you know, I don't quite know how good the original Xbox netcode was back in the day, but it must have been people just said, fuck it, you know, we got this great game to play it, but I guarantee if this fucking Rollback or GTFO nonsense would have been around, don't think even anyone would be bothered buying this crap, because fucking social media today cries about how much these fighting games suck, or they're not gonna buy it, because there's no fucking Rollback netcode, even though... Even if the games that do have rollback netcode end up being so fucking simplified, it's not even funny. It's like, why can't you just have a decent game with rollback? Oh wait, they do exist. Skullgirls, Killer Instinct. Even Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite has rollback netcode, but people fucking hated that game because there's no X-Men characters and the story mode sucks. Which, yeah, that is true. The story was fucking terrible. Fucking Thanos learning the Satsui no Hado was fucking cringe. But... the game was apparently decent gameplay-wise, even if it's somewhat of a downgrade from Ultra Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which people already hated because the vanilla version didn't do any favors, especially since Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is still regarded as one of the greatest games ever made in terms of fighting games, and yet the Xbox 360 and PS3 version had terrible fucking netcode by today's standards, but it didn't fucking stop people from playing it because, you know, it's a good game and you want to play games online. Yeah, not every game's have fucking good netcode, but, you know, if it's sufficient, then I think this should all can be. It doesn't have to be fucking perfect. Yes, they should try to be better, but the games themselves should not be taking a nosedive and encourage people who can't do stuff you can't do in other games. Like, I don't want to pull a low-tier guide and complain I'm losing every fucking character in the roster, or saying that these new characters don't play nothing like the other characters. I'm just talking about, say, like Geese and Akuma, who... yes, I know you can sidestep the fireballs, but Tekken is not about zoning. I'm sorry. And even Eliza, who probably could have been the most interesting character to get somewhere since she was from Tekken Revolution, that fucking god-awful game. They gave her projectiles along with Akuma and Geese, and I'm sorry, but Tekken is not about fucking fireball spam. I'm sorry. I know characters have it, but there's a reason why they have ridiculous wind-up, or frame data, whatever. They're not meant to be used as zoning tools to the extent that you have for games like Guilty Gear, or Samurai Showdown, or Street Fighter, or BlazBlue, or any game that has easy enough inputs for projectiles. It's a fighting game with footsies and all that bullshit first, whatever the fuck that means. It is not a projectile-focused game. And I fucking hate it that Tekken 7 has characters that can throw projectiles like somebody's business. Like, you're gonna have that shit, fine, but even the cheapest characters like Jinpachi does not fucking have ridiculous short times to throw out those fireballs. And he was a cheap-ass motherfucker, too. He can even delay it, too, and I think charge it, too. And it was pretty much a one-hit kill, too, if he did it correctly. I haven't played Dark Resurrection on PS3 in forever, so I wouldn't exactly know how well or how he's supposed to do it. But seriously, Tekken is not a fucking projectile game. And I hate that they incorporated two guest characters. Shouldn't be in the fucking game to do it. It's so stupid. Eliza, I guess it's okay since she was from a very awful game, but that still shouldn't be how fucking Tekken plays. And whatever fucking Guilty Gear Strive is supposed to be, I don't want to say it's now Guilty Gear, but I seriously have to stress that if these fucking people are only playing it just because you have characters like Jocko, or because they don't want to bother learning the depth of even games like Guilty Gear Xrd, or even Accent Core Plus R, which, even if you have a decent PC to play it, you probably can. And maybe it takes like a gigabyte or two, and I don't think it requires that much effort to install a game that even I can run on my fucking toaster laptop. So I really don't want to fucking hear it. So yeah, bottom line. I do like that the game, I guess even Arc System Works is spreading awareness because I guess they're getting in on it, and usually their social media accounts tend to be a little goofy at times. But like, if people generally gave a shit about Guilty Gear, they would have been memeing the fuck out of this way when this game was still relevant. Because I do not recall people doing this bullshit Jocko is doing on your screen for like the past 10 minutes. Or however long this has been. It's so stupid. Seriously, this game is good. It may not have the best mechanics, it may not have the best netcode, but this game, at least to me, is like the last decent fighting game that has come out that actually can still be a content-packed game for single player, and can still be fun with friends, even though the mechanics are super-duper baby diaper easy mode that requires one button can do like 5 million things. Seriously, it's like that one fucking game that even Ukes did long before they did WWF SmackDown. Yeah, that game was so simplified, but that game still had a lot of stuff to offer in terms of unlocks and other sorts of stuff. But, you know, people are just like that, I guess. If you can't play these actual brain power requiring games, they wait until those fighting games get their easy mode entry, and then they claim like they've been fucking with the game since fucking day one of the fucking series, and I hate it. Seriously. It is so stupid. Like, seriously, if people actually would have played this game a lot back in the day, we would have been seeing memes of this. And yeah, maybe it will be a little bit annoying, especially back in 2015 or whatever, but at least people then would know this character's existence. And it honestly pains me that it took this fucking long for this bullshit to be acknowledged now, just because people don't want to play the better game. Seriously. It's so fucking stupid. Learn how to play the game. Just stop. Anyway, that's going to be it for this little quickie rant. I'm going to go ahead and make some productive time. I'm going to go look up some Jocko porn.
Going fishing, 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 going fishing.